Well, hello there, YouTube. Welcome to the 13th of August. And no, we're not immediately taking off on a ride on the Street Glide. There's a couple of things I noticed that I'm address here today. Well, one thing I noticed, one thing I didn't do. I noticed in the last couple of rides, ever since I washed this, that when you're holding at a steady throttle, it almost feels sticky. I mean, it's not, it snaps back like it should. I mean, but I think I might have got soap or something down in the bar. I mean, everything feels loose. I just don't know why it has this kind of a sticky feeling to it. So, you know, it's heated grip, so I got to unplug the grip and take the switch apart. It's a whole fiasco getting a grip off of one of these things. Not that it's that bad. In fact, it's a lot easier with these newer switches since the Project Rushmore. But anyway, when I washed it, I told you guys I was going to adjust the belt next, got sidetracked, never got to the belt. So another thing, when you guys, like I put those 13-inch, took the 12 inches off, put the 13-inch Legends on. So it's like more of the, you know, the tour pack type bikes, you know, Ultras and whatnot that have the 13-inch shocks. So, you know, Street Glides, Road Glides, a lot of the CVOs, even the Road King with the CVO, are using those 12-inch squatted shocks. There is a different belt tension spec. There's a looser spec if you're using the taller shocks, because you're getting farther from aligning the primary swing arm pivot and rear axle pivot. When everything's lined up in a perfect line, that's the tightest the belt will be. What's kind of close to that with the 12-inch shocks, well, the swing arm drops with a 13-inch, so the belt spec is looser. So we're going to adjust the belt and find out why this thing feels, I just get this feeling when I'm going along. It's enough that I'm noticing it. So I got soap or something in there. One of the drawbacks of having the longer shocks, you gotta take the mufflers off to get to the bolts. I don't know if any of you guys have pulled Milwaukee 8 right-hand muffler off. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's a substantial difference in size. Well, that doesn't come off very easy. That one comes off like a regular exhaust. But one of the things I try to do whenever I do my first belt adjustment or chain adjustment on any motorcycle is I yard that axle all the way out. If you've never dealt with a seized Harley axle or on other bikes, I behoove you to do this. So we're gonna yard this axle out and see if Harley's doing a better job than what they did in the past. All the manufacturers do it. They don't want to make their assembly line nasty, so they don't put a whole ton of grease on there for that reason. They figure you're going to go through a tire quick enough, you're going to have the wheel off. But you get an axle that's stuck in one of these, it is not cool. So I yank them out and grease them properly. So we'll see what she looks like here. You may be shocked. Alright, that's typical assembly line look of a factory installed axle. And don't be hating on no Harley, because this goes with everybody. I mean everybody. They lob a chunk on the tip. You can see where it's built up, and then they cram it in. But by the time it gets to this side, there's hardly anything there. This is where the left-hand bearing race was riding. So I'll clean that thing up, and I like to use a lithium soap-based grease. A good quality anti-seize works very well. It's very water repellent. But this Yamaha racing grease, I absolutely love this stuff, and I know how it works on dirt bikes, and they're going to see more mud and water and high pressure washing and all the things you're not supposed to do. And it withstands. I mean, you pull an axle out and it's still on there. So I'm telling you, if you're like me, like I got 2 years on this thing and she just hit 2,300 miles or whatever it was yesterday, that's waiting way too long. Most people go through a tire, you know, fairly quick. So, you know, whoever does your tire, whether it's a dealer or yourself, you're gonna, you know, I get this all the time. Spyders, everything. You pull them out, they look just like that. So I clean them off, grease them with that Yamaha lithium soap-based grease. It doesn't have to be the Yamaha stuff, just any lithium soap-based grease. It's highly water resistant and withstands high temperatures. It's great for steering head bearings and stuff like that. But we'll clean this thing up, And I like to put a little dab with my finger and run it in the bearings so that I'm not getting this effect where the bearings are essentially squeegeeing the grease off. You know, this, you know, the outside of that bearing probably got a good shot, but it didn't get on the axle. It didn't smoothly go. So anyway, let's take care of this. The axle's clean. This is that Yamaha. It's a lithium soap base. It's just called race grease. And it's this weird jelly, weird stuff. And once you start applying it, it starts smoothing out. But I'll lube up my little Q-tip for getting in the tight spots. But anyway, I'll get everything lubed up, put that back together, adjust the belt. Why do you like being out here? Whoa, you can't go any further though. But there's the axle. You just put a light coating on there. Then you just grease up your fingers and shove them in there and get the bearings, get everything you can. Now, there's a collar because I put the weight of the wheel so it just takes the weight off the axle, so I slide it out. And then you do need to be very mindful because all large Harleys now, as far as I know, are ABS. That inner collar is your ABS sensor. It works like an automobile. It's watching the bearings. The most simplistic, best working system. Cars have been doing it forever. Why motorcycles have to have these stupid big old rings on them with a sensor on the outside when you can have something that simple that works that good? But anyway, be careful you don't dislodge that thing. It has to be in a certain place. So be very careful. That is one expensive electrical component, that wheel sensor. You do not want to hear a crunch when you tighten that thing down. Alrighty, she's all lubed and in there. Made sure that my ABS sensor is sitting in its little groove like it's supposed to. And I just a very light tension on that. And then use your belt tension gauge. And if you guys want to know specs for the 12-inch shocks, it's like 6.5, 6.4 millimeters to 11. I think it's 11.1 millimeters of deflection at 10 pounds. Use that little gauge and do it at 10 pounds. But now with these 13-inch shocks on there, it's 9.5 millimeters to 14. I don't know, 14.3, something like that. But anyway, basically between 9.5 and 14.5, 14.3 I think it is to be exact. But anyway, I got a metric gauge. There's, I don't know what it is. It's like 3/8 and 9/16 I think is the American or the SAE belt deflection. But my gauge, most of my stuff is metric, so I use that. And then when you torque this thing, once you get it set, you need to make sure you hold this side, because the Snell adjuster is welded to the nut. And this one, for obvious reasons, comes off. So when you're tightening it down, you need to make sure you're holding the other side so the Snell adjuster doesn't spin on you. So anyway, I'm going to crawl down on the ground, get my tension correct, torque everything down. Oh, speaking of torque, there's two torques. You go to 20 foot-pounds first, and then you go on to your 95 to 105. And just like that, she's done. Belt's tension, made sure alignment stuff was okay. I'm running out of time. I don't think I'll mess with this thing tonight. I guess it only takes a second or two to pop her out. So I wasn't going to mess with the grip. There didn't seem to be anything wrong with this, all in my head, I'm sure. But when I was talking to you guys, I seen like something wet sitting right there. I'm like, what is that? I took a towel, wiped it. It's brake fluid. So I got some kind of issue going on. And seeing that it's at the 2-year mark, it's probably the bike's way of saying, son, flush these brakes. It's time. I'm only 2 weeks away from being 2 years and needing the flush. BMW wants you doing it on the first year and then every 2 years after. So I'm coming up on the 2-year thing, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the cap off and flush the fluid. We'll see what kind of shape it's in too with the tester. Dadgummit, didn't plan on doing that today. So looks like A little bit of not practicing what I preach here. I must have shot some water in there. Look at all the water on the top. This is where, you know, you got your pressure relief, where that thing breathes. So I'm sure it's probably something to do with all that water on there. The gasket looks perfectly fine, but I'll wash and dry it off and make sure. Alright, let's see what we get here. It's kind of hard to do this two-handed. Oh yeah, 3%. She is absolutely due. Yeah. How about that? And that doesn't really look that bad either, does it? But 3%, that's too far. It's got to go. Okay, so Harley doesn't specify left or right first. Like BMW is adamant. Left first, right next. Which is how I did this one. Look at the difference. She's nice and clean. Very clean. I got the cap and the diaphragm clean and dry as well. So, because the fluid had dripped down and was sitting in that pivot bolt, I'm gonna, well, get this all capped off. I need to do it quick because it feels hot out here. I don't want the humidity to get to it. But anyway, I don't want any of that fluid to have drained into that pivot area for the brake lever and start eating the paint, because it's like cancer. It'll just keep growing out. So let me get this thing capped off, clean that up, put it back together. And since I'm here, might as well do the rear as well. Okay, so it was just Mr. Magoo here panicking. So this is still wet from what went through there. That is not brake fluid. It is just simply water. So I washed this thing how I tell you guys not to do it. Don't blast anything. Well, I must have, because there's a vent right there and a vent right there, and they face backwards. I must have blasted her. So I should probably pull the clutch side off as well. But it's just water. So, but it was due for a brake flush anyway, so no loss, no harm. Just put me in a panic for a little bit. Alright, so the front, I probably got a fan blowing right down on the camera. Front's all done. Everything's good there. Cleaned and lubed all the pivots and all that stuff. And you know, it's cleaning some of the dust that was out from underneath this thing. I figured, I might as well pop the seat off and clean that. You know how you wash them, you don't get underneath there. While I was here, I thought I'd show you the vehicle control module, or as Harley refers to it as an ABS pump or modulator. All your computer stuff for traction controls there, and this is the pump housing. And there's all your lines. Got some coming in underneath as well. But gonna flush that car size rear caliper on this thing. And in case you guys don't know, the front or the rear master cylinder's up here by the pedal. And looking at that fluid, I'm sure she's definitely gonna need this flush. So anyway, I'm gonna do that next. Let's see what the old rear is looking like here. So I can get everything all going here at once. Shockingly. Oh. 2%. That's a barely passable. Barely passable. Well, there she is, back in her little cubby. Brake fluids flushed. Belt adjusted. The rear axle all nice and lubricated. I'll put the jack. It's real easy to do the front. Just do the same thing. Lift the front wheel so that the wheel's just basically level on the ground, where it's not up or down, has no weight on it. It's just in a neutral position. Slide the axle out. Careful of the collars. Grease it. Put it back in. You don't even have to take the disc calipers off. Very easy to do. So I'll do that. I should have done that. Now I've thought about it after I rolled it back. But the fronts usually aren't as bad as the rear. There she is. All done happy. Nothing leaking out of the clutch side. I must have just hit that thing with the hose just right or something. I don't know. But anyway, as you've seen, it needed it. The rear was only 2%, so I mean that would have passed. So probably me injecting it with water. I don't know. I have no idea. Nothing. No water was visibly in the brake fluid, and what I thought was brake fluid leaking out was just water, just dirty water. So anyway, she's all good, all happy with the world. Ended up doing a motorcycle repair vlog today. That was not my intentions, but I'll show you why I wasn't in a big rush to do anything else. This is why. Now that the sun's mostly down, you can't really tell. See all that haze? It is like a forest fire is like real close by, and it stinks of forest fire. I don't know where it's coming from, but that nice little coastal influx we had pushed it all away. Now that that's gone, it's back to the old normal, and it is smoky and nasty out here. We'll be waking up in the morning going Anyway, gonna button everything up in here. Well, hello there, YouTube. Welcome to a very smoke hazy, very hot day. Tomorrow's supposed to be 98 here in Toledo and 100 or more in Vancouver.
It's gonna be hot.
Yeah, it's gonna be a smoker. And that's Sasha. Hey. But anyway, that wasn't my plan to do. I was just gonna go out there and piddle around with a little thing here or two, and ended up making a whole vlog out of it.
A whole day of it.
And now it's I don't know how much I want to ride in that smoke anyway, but it wouldn't be pretty anyway. Everything's all really hazy. Man, you step out of the house or step out of the shop and like, whoa, it smells like a forest fire.
Yeah, it kind of burned dry.
Yeah, it's nasty. So I don't know which fire this is coming from. I don't know if we told you, but Ryan barely got out of Cooley Dam. Did we talk about that?
Yeah, yesterday at least.
I'm not sure I used that in the vlog, but yeah, anyway, he barely got out of there. I don't know if he got evacuated. It was the day he's leaving anyway, but they weren't sure they're going to make it through the night. Big fire coming right at them.
Yeah.
They go, Pops, if worst comes to worst, we're just going to go out in the middle of the lake.
On the boats.
On the boats, yeah. If it gets too close, we'll just jump in the water. But anyway, he's home and safe and everything. That was pretty crazy. He sent some pretty crazy videos, and that was nuts. They had a sleepless night. Had them in the lodge and stuff like that because you just couldn't breathe outside where they had the camps and stuff. It was bad. I mean, the fire was literally on the other side of the lake from them. But anyway, I think we're going to call it a day.
Alrighty. Well, thank you guys very, very much for watching. We really do appreciate it. We will talk to you tomorrow. Same smoke time, same smoke channel. Don't forget to give her a thumbs up. And I hope your Tuesday or Wednesday are wonderful.
Hope you guys enjoyed tinkering around with a motorcycle today.
Yeah, it was tinkering day.
Yeah, it's usually something I do more for the motovlog side, but anyway, I'm just gonna do a couple of things, and it turned into a whole day.
Yep.
Not that much, but you know, that took up my vlogging day anyway. All right, till tomorrow.
You guys
Thank
take care.
Oh, yeah, we didn't see all the comments until this morning when I got up. I didn't look at anything from the thousandth vlog. Whoa. Thank you guys very, very, very much.
Incredible.
Yeah, so I sat there for a long time going through that this morning. Hours, literally.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for all of that. That's way cool. All right. Till tomorrow.
All right.
We'll see you now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.